Japan Coach, ways to make living and working in Japan the amazing experience it should be.
Hi everybody, this is Japan Coach. I'm Paul Durant. Thanks for joining me. And I'm back here at the bridge this week because I want to talk about a couple of elements of culture that are a little bit different between Japan and the US. Well, I know that's what we do every week, but this is a really interesting one because this will help you sort of build a bridge between the two cultures. Starts with a story. About 22 years ago, I was living in a small town in Fukui Prefecture in Japan. This was the first time I came to Japan, and there were vending machines all over the place. Back in those days, there were vending machines everywhere. It's become a lot less now, but that's the way it was. And in one of those vending machines, there was a Coke, and it was a standard size. And right next to it was another Coke, and that Coke was I don't remember, 30% larger or something like that. Well, that's not that strange, I suppose, except that the two Cokes were the same price. Now, this was just too much for my American mind to handle. How could the smaller Coke and the larger Coke be the same price? But I'm going to tell you something else. Well, back in that small town in Fukui, the smaller Coke was more likely to be sold out of the machine than the larger Coke. I couldn't even fathom such a thing. Naturally, every time I went to the machine, I bought the larger Coke because that's what we do. But I started to realize that that's not necessarily what the Japanese will do. In fact, they won't buy the larger Coke if they think they don't need the larger Coke. And so a lot of times they thought, well, you know, the smaller Coke is what I need. So that's the best value for my money. The larger Coke, I can buy it, but it's gonna be too much. I'm not gonna know what to do with it. I can't drink it all, or maybe I'll drink too much of it and get fat. I don't know. But I don't need that big Coke, so I'm gonna buy the smaller one at the same price. Well, this was a mind blower for me, actually, at that time. And I want to cut now to the latest coronavirus pandemic rescue efforts that have been going on in Japan. Because in Japan, they're offering every person who lives in Japan a 100,000 yen. Basically, it's $100. I'm sorry, $1,000 to sort of support their life during this pandemic. A lot of countries are doing this sort of thing. So you have to apply for this money, and they sent you out an application form. And on the application form, there's a little box you can check. And that box says, I don't need the money. Well, there's no such box on the American application form. In fact, in America, there's not even an application form. You just sort of wait for it. The money comes. You don't even have the option to say no. But here in Japan, there's an option to say no. Well, that seems counterintuitive. I don't need the money. But I'll guarantee you that it's there for a reason. After observing the behavior of the people who went to that vending machine and bought the small Coke instead of the large Coke at the same price, I started to realize that there is an element of I need it, I don't need it. I don't need it, so I'm not going to take it. This is good for me. This is good for society. This is good for Japan or whatever. So, you know, this is interesting. I think this is two sides of the same coin. I think that what's happening here is people are simply saying, well, you know, that's more than what I need, and since I don't need that, I'm not going to take it because I can leave it for somebody else. Somebody else can take advantage of the situation who really needs to take advantage of the situation. Well, I think as Americans, we'd like to think maybe we would behave in that same way, or we certainly can understand that mentality. But in fact, we don't look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak. We really will take what's offered to us and at the same price, we're going to buy the thing that is more. If somebody offers us something, we're probably going to take it. Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, I think that most Japanese will actually do that as well. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that perspective. I just simply think that this is an interesting juxtaposition of ideologies or ideals, both of which exist in both cultures, but the level and the extremity and the value set associated with them is clearly a bit different. So I just wanted to present those two ideas out there for people. Thought it was really interesting. You can interpret it the way you'd like to interpret it, and I'd be interested to hear your interpretations if you want to put them in the comments section. Thanks for joining me this week on Japan Coach. Have a great week.